like, yeah, I believe in Indoda. She was like, bye mom, bye dad, bye little bro. Hi, Noda. Hello, lovers, and welcome back to season 3 of Starring Cupid. I'm gonna stop singing. Hi guys, it is your boy Zimadadex, nothing more, nothing less, from the east, not the west, Dusty Naked in the Forest, and wow, I've missed this. I really have. I mean, it's my fault that nothing was happening until now, but I've truly missed this. It's a bit late in the year now, but this is our first episode in 2021, so season's greetings, lovers. It's been going okay. It's been a month. My mind is permanently stuck in 2020 though. Like every time people mention the year, I'm just like, what? No, it's not. If I was in school, I would be those people that wouldn't be able to write 2021 for like until April. I think my mind won't stop saying 2020 until maybe April. What I did get right though is we're kicking off the season in the month of love, February, Febrero, a month that I'm honestly very cynical about, like mostly because I have I don't want to say negative, but pessimistic. I have pessimistic views about February and like Valentine's Day. Ironic because of the whole premise of this podcast. But for you lovers, for you listeners, I'm willing to push that all aside to give you the good content that we have been serving all this time. Today's no different. Today we are serving a highly requested, and I mean, when I say highly requested, I really do mean it, highly requested pair. We are talking about Louisa and Will Trainer from Me Before You, a movie that I genuinely enjoyed, while in the back of my mind I had a few slight issues with a few things that I'll definitely get into during the episode. My chats don't bore you too much. I have invited a very special guest to join us live in the stew. And when I say studio, I do not mean my lovely living space back at school. When I say studio, I'm referring to our bedroom because, you know, I'm at home. And if you haven't guessed it, my special guest is none other than my big sister, Nasiphi, aka Sips and Things. She will be joining us, and I'm very excited about this because, like, aside from our relationship, I've wanted her on the podcast since it was made. So this is a long time coming collaboration. So excited, so happy to have her, and so happy to have you lovers experience what I've been dealing with since birth. Slight warning, we are at home because we have been told to stay at home, and I'm not one to break the law. And yeah, recording at home is different. You have a lot of people to like work around with, and I live with a lot of people. And why am I saying people? My family. I live with lots of people in my family, and they're not loud. They make themselves heard. I'll say that. And being a content creator in a Black household can be like that. It can be trying. So forgive us. Pardon me for any interruptions or odd sounds you might hear. It was raining a couple of minutes ago, so if that comes back, also sorry. That being said, let us dive right in. Season 3, Episode 1. It's Lou and Will. This film was made in 2016 and was directed by Thea Sharrock. This was Sharrock's film debut, so I don't really have a lot to judge around to base my critiques on, but I guess she's good because this wasn't bad, and from a directorial standpoint, it wasn't that bad. The story is adapted from Jojo Moyes's book of the same name. It's the first in a trilogy. Yeah, it's the first of the trilogy. Moyes also handled the screenplay for this, and I really like it when it comes to movies adapted from books. I really like it when the writers do the screenplay. I say this because I feel like it gives fans of the book that little bit of hope that the movie will actually live up to the book, or at least follow along with what happens in the book, which is something that readers look for when it comes to book adaptations. I say readers, me, I look for it. So there's always that hope, there's always that chance that you're actually going to get what you read about come to life and come to visualization. Unfortunately, we did not see that in this. I haven't read the books. My guest has, and I will definitely ask her about that. But apparently, not everything in the book is translated to the movie. When I was researching it, there were kind of significant details that were excluded, or like parts of the story that would have probably pushed the story along that were not there. Whether this was intentional from her point, or like the studios or the producers and all those things, whether it was intentionally done or not, I'm still kind of disappointed, especially because of the things that I saw that were excluded. But it is what it is. What's done is done. People got their coin, so I don't think they really care about doing fan service. The beautiful score is done by Craig Armstrong, who is known for his work in other productions such as The Great Gatsby, Love Actually, Moulin Rouge, which is one of my favorite musical movies ever. And man, this music, Armstrong brought it. It's enchanting is the best word that I can come up for it, because there's when they put the score into one track, I can't remember what it's called, but if you listen to that and you just hear it immediately sends you back to the moment in the movie where you heard this, but as its own, as music, it is beautifully done, it is beautifully recorded and played. Even shout out to people that handled the soundtrack, because that soundtrack is full of bangers. I have so many favorites from that soundtrack, but my my favorite song used in this movie is Surprise Yourself by, I think his name is Jack Garrett, if I'm not mistaken. Beautiful song, WhatsApp ballad, lyrically wonderful, vocally great. The same way with the score, where it takes you back to each scene. Even the songs from the soundtrack just send you back. They're all really, really, really good. In our cast, we have our leading lady, portrayed by Emilia Clarke, who is playing Louisa Clarke without an E. Clarke is known for her role in the global hit that is Game of Thrones, and I will not even try to say her character's name because I will ruin it No amount of Googling will help me. I'm just not gonna try. I have mentioned this before in like casual conversation with people. Online, I've probably said it. I might have mentioned it in an episode before. I don't know. But I've said this before that I'm one of those people that has never seen Game of Thrones. Not in like protest or because I want to be spunky or whatever reason people give you. I don't have a reason. I don't have a good reason. I don't have a bad reason. I just haven't done it. So I know she's good in it. Like, people wouldn't be speaking about her if she was bad, and she wouldn't be getting them awards if she was bad in it. So I believe in her work in Game of Thrones. I have also gotten the chance to see her in other films such as This Christmas when she was portraying Katie. It felt like, aside from the great music, shout out to George Michael, it felt like Katie was just an extension of Louisa, except she was beyond pessimistic. Like, if Louisa and Katie were in the same room, I think Katie would hate Louisa so much because they're so different, but at the same time they're so similar. So yeah, shout outs to Emilia Clarke, wonderful actress, love her. Then we have our love interest, Sam Cleffin as Will Traynor. If you have listened to our episode on Love Rosie, which is a movie featuring Sam Cleffin, then you know how I feel about him. I made myself very clear. Respectfully, I'm in love with him. It boils down to that. Cleffin has been in the Hunger Games trilogy, Enola Holmes, Peaky Blinders, My Cousin Rachel, etc. It goes on. Yeah, no, wonderful man, love him. However, my feelings for Cleffin aside, I don't think he should have played Will. They had the opportunity to cast someone, an actor with similar disabilities to Will for this role, because Will spends 98% of the film in a wheelchair, if not the wheelchair. There's one scene where he's just like lying in bed. Like, there was no good reason to not cast somebody who is disabled as well. And that goes back to this huge issue, this lack of representation or misrepresentation of people from marginalized groups in the media. It would be wrong of me to only speak on misrepresentation when it's about race or like skin tone or body size, but not speak about it for a movie like this, because there's so few opportunities for disabled actors in films. You would think that when they are writing stories about disabled people, they get these chances, and then these chances go to anyone but the appropriate people for the role. And I'll touch on that more in the rest of the episode with my guest, but I just had to say, yeah. Honorable mentions. We have I had to start with Matthew Lewis, who plays Lou's boyfriend Patrick in the film. If you are a fan of Harry Potter, you will recognize Mr. Lewis as Neville Longbottom. All grown up. It's annoying as hell. Like, oh my goodness. I want to say he's really good in this role because he perfectly portrayed a terrible partner. Like, Patrick was so bad. Oh, so annoying, so uncaring. Like, ugh. Even if Louisa hadn't met Will, like if Will never came into her life, I would have wanted Patrick to be dumped because hate him, annoying ass man. The rest of the cast is just as wonderful. We have Samantha Spiro, Vanessa Kirby, Janet McTeer, Brendan Coyle, and Charles Dance. It's a solid group. It's a solid group of people that came together and did the best they could. Wow, that makes it sound like they didn't do well, but you know what I mean, right? Right. On to the plot. If you have not watched this movie, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I really have mixed emotions about it now. Like, granted, I'll be honest, when I was younger, when did I watch? I watched this movie when I was like 16, 17 in high school. When I watched it for the first time, I thought it was the shit. It was really great. But obviously, the older I get, the more informed I've gotten, the more times I've watched it. My feelings have swayed a bit because all of its good parts are overshadowed by its worst bits. So you watch it and you're enjoying it, and then you're kind of not, and it's just like this roller coaster of emotion. So I would say, if you are into these types of movies, like the romance kind of genre, then you should watch it. But be prepared to be mad at a couple of things from time to time. That's all I'm saying. If you have watched it and you need a reminder, here is a plot summary. The story follows an optimistic woman hired to care for a man paralyzed after a bad road accident. The pair form an unlikely bond during her time with him. Fun fact, two of the actresses in the cast, I think the woman that plays Will's mom, and I think also was it Louisa's mom? I'm not sure. But two actresses in the cast, they have acted in movies with an eerily similar plot to this one. You'd think we'd be tired by now. Yeah, you know the drill by now, lovers. Spoilers galore. I can't speak about this without talking about certain plot points, and those certain plot points obviously spoil the film, so please be aware of that if you haven't watched it. Content warning, there will be mentions of suicide, because once again, it's a major plot point for this movie and I would never want to trigger anyone. So if you know you won't be able to handle that, or you don't want to hear about that, it's fine. You can just step away. I really don't mind, as long as I am protecting people from triggers, and we as the speakers, oh my gosh, the speakers, as the speakers, will try our best to discuss this without offending anyone, or we'll try our best. I'm grateful to have Nasiphi here to help me out. She's usually very good at being the fun police with me and navigating these kind of topics. Yeah, so without wasting any more time, here is Louisa and Will. And we're here with our guest. I'm sorry, I need to stop saying the intros for everything. We are with our guest, my sister, your local Twitter fave, Nasiphi, is here with us.
Very local. Hi, it's Sips and Things here. Nasiphi likes things on Instagram.
Girl, you plug yourself at the end.
Sips and Things. I know. I'm doing it now, so I don't have to do it at the end because I'm gonna forget.
Oh my gosh.
Sips and Things on Twitter. Twitter.
Coming to you live from the studio that is our bedroom.
You don't have to tell people
I
that.
did have to tell them.
Gosh, now people are gonna laugh and be like, "Oh, I'm at the stew."
Oh, they're gonna laugh about how we're listening to the government when they said stay at home.
That's hectic.
We're gonna get straight into this, because this movie, we both have many feelings about this movie. Some of us felt so much that they read the actual books.
you think it doesn't get worse. I'm not. Gosh, Louisa, my Louisa. But yeah, I actually loved the movie more than I loved the book, mostly because the soundtrack was
top notch, right?
okay. But we're not getting ahead of ourselves.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just wanted to mention that you were that obsessed. With this movie, without looking at the book since I haven't read it, we have a couple that portray what I would say is an extreme form of the opposites attract trope that you see and you get in romantic movies. Like, these people could not be more different.
They are so incompatible.
Like, it'll lose like high levels of optimism, and then it's just like Will's like very pessimistic.
Do you know what gets me? Will, like, he doesn't seem like he was optimistic, like pumpy before the accident either. Like, he was just an adrenaline junkie. Like, he wasn't.
They didn't actually give us anything to say that he was different.
Yeah. So he just got more morose, and
I was going to ask, like, how do you feel about the opposites attract trope in this movie, and also just like in the general like romance, like the romance world? I want to say the romance world, yeah, in the general romance world. And then outside of that, how do you feel about specifically Louisa and Will? Like, if you had to forget.
You know what?
Yeah.
That's my least favorite trope in movies. Like, because it gives people this
hope.
Yeah, that the boy who bullied you in grade 7 is gonna turn around and be like, what's good? What's pappy? And I'm like, no, that's not how it works.
That's not how love works.
That's really not how it works. And there's this idea that if you get together with someone who's the complete opposite of you, your guys' best traits are gonna come together. Kanti ube worse.
Could be like a civil war.
Yes, exactly. It could just be Tony and Captain America, dude. Like, you think, yeah, okay, fine, we'll build each other up. Kanti, it's a complete opposite, and that, honestly, that is why I don't like this opposites attract. This opposites attract trope, like in the cinema world especially, because they put an asshole beep. Sorry,
girl, I swear, this thing.
They put an asshole together with a nice girl, and they're like, "Yep, make a baby." And I'm like, no.
And it feels, especially with that specific one, it always feels like the nice girl is there to change the asshole, and it's like, why?
Yeah, why is it? It's always the woman's job to change the man. Why? For once, I just like to see an opposites attract kind of setting where it's the guy that's trying to change the asshole woman. Like, really? But in terms of Me Before You, I hated it so much. I hated it because Will was an asshole, and there's a scene where Louisa Will at the wedding, at the Nasiphi's wedding, where Will says something along the lines of, "You're the most beautiful woman here," and then Louisa's like, "Yeah, well, if before your accident you wouldn't have looked twice in my direction, like you would have been looking at the blondes," and Will was like, "Yeah, you're probably right," and I'm like, so then why are we here? Why? Ufunani empilweni yami? Why are we here? Like, yo guys, opposites attract doesn't always work, because also at the same time it felt like Will was just settling. Yep. Yes, he was settling for Louisa because he's in the situation he's in, and yeah, I don't know if you're gonna ask me how I feel about their relationship in general, but it just, like, after some time it started to feel like Will was just settling for Louisa. Like,
yeah. On that point, we're in the movie, we're kind of given insight into why Will is the person, like, why is he the asshole that he is, with the whole, like, besides the accident and then also like the betrayal. By the way, I didn't know. Well, not that I didn't know. I kind of forgot until I was doing research for this. One of the girlfriend, the girl that was his girlfriend before, and then married his friend, was Vanessa Kirby. When I saw her, I was like, oh, I don't know who that is. Okay. So you see all these things. You see why he is the way that he is, and you gradually, as the story progresses, we gradually see him change, because of Lou, and get better and be this better person. And it, like you said, it's with the asshole and the nice girl trope. It's all this improvement is credited to Lou being there.
Yeah.
And it begins to, I wanted to say that it begins to feel like I want to say Captain Save-A-Ho, but it wasn't Hoix. I said Captain Save-A-Han.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it starts to get like that, and we get moments of like affection and like cuteness, but it all goes back.
Practical again.
It goes back to this whole she saved him, she made him better, she made him better. Do you think that there is a better version of do you think this is a better version of the Captain Save-A-Han story that we usually get to see? And then my follow-up question, which is kind of unrelated to this, but very related. How does the bumblebee socks scene make you feel?
Okay, to answer your first question, is there a better version of
if you compare it to all the other movies where you get the situation where it's like asshole, nice girl, is this a better version of what we've seen?
I don't think so, because like it's going back to what I was saying, that it started to feel like he's just settling for Louisa. Like, I mean, you want someone to love you like wholeheartedly, to love you all the way through, and now you get the situation where this guy, he's lost his drive on life, and the fact that he still went through with the assisted suicide means that he really was just settling for Louisa. There's no way someone who was completely turned around and saved by a good person would choose to die still. But at the same time, I'm like,
I didn't want love to save him because it felt like such a
wishy-washy thing. Yes. I think he was also punishing Louisa for what Alicia and his best friend did. I think, like, on top of being hurt by the accident, I think that his heart was like kind of broken over Alicia. Nangona, he like opened his heart a little to Louisa, but again, it just felt like he was settling. There will never be a better version of the story where the woman saved the man from himself or whatever, like turned his life around. There will never be a better version of it, because at the base of it is a woman's labor.
Yeah.
And you know what happens when people know that you love them? They tend to take advantage of you. Especially in Will's case, like, I know she was hired, defined to be like
the caretaker,
his fun time Professor Fun Time. But now, when feelings are involved,
like, I'm not getting paid to fall in love with this man.
Yes. Well, it really felt like Will was starting to take advantage, and I don't like that. And the bumblebee.
Because I was about to say, yes, it feels like he took advantage. Yes, sometimes it feels like he wasn't fully there. And then he'd do things like the bumblebee
sock thing. I just... Guys, honestly, I haven't felt a man buy me something that I've told him about ever. So I can't comment on the bumblebee sock thing because it pains me. It pains me that someone will pay attention to you so hard.
And it wasn't even, I like how it wasn't a conversation where she was like, I want socks.
Yeah.
She was telling him about a thing that happened and how she feels sad that she can't get them anymore.
Because at the same time, her boyfriend, I'm sure she's told her boyfriend many times about the bumblebee socks. But then, like, uyileta yona.
That man was rubbish.
He was terrible. Okay, which is what makes me think Louisa was happy to like
Gravitate,
to gravitate towards Will,
even
because
more.
I mean, she got the
That was a waste, man. Yo.
She got the thing she wasn't getting from her boyfriend from Will. Meanwhile, William Osiam is just there.
Wouldn't it be so funny if his full name is Willard?
Yeah, but it's William. Thank goodness.
Okay.
But yeah, and the bumblebee sock scene just breaks my heart, guys. Not because it's sad, but because it is kind of sad though. Like, you will buy me bumblebee socks that I've been talking about, and you still tell me that I am not worth living for. Which is, I mean, it's good on Will for Uqina to stick his stance, yeah. Because if he had stayed alive for Louisa, she would have grown to resent him. There's nothing like using a person as motivation
for things,
yes.
And also because I think Ali says it in Euphoria, but like people are so wishy-washy. You cannot.
Yeah, you mustn't use people as motivation. Like Nalendo, sorry, this is tending to drift off, but it's still in the confines of the conversation. Nalendo abantu bemane besiti I don't want to commit suicide because I'm like worried about my mother. Yeah, like you are going to grow to resent that person because is going to be, I can't do this because I'm thinking of Zama. And then we haven't gotten to the end of this podcast
a lot, but not
I
people.
just want to tell you now, do not ever use people as motivation. If you're doing something, do it to yourself and stand firm in your stance.
Yeah. And then lastly, like
to wrap it up,
not wrap it up, it's gonna be a long question. We have, and we kind of touched on it now, we've privately discussed this movie before, and whenever we talk about like Will's choice to just be put to sleep, like we've discussed it, the things that you have said are the things we have said about it. One of the criticisms that were posted, when I was researching this, I found that there was lots of critiques from the disabled community, obviously, besides the casting, but there was also this critique that it made it seem like people that are similar to Will, like they are paralyzed or disabled in that way, it made it seem like they want to die to avoid feeling like a burden to people. And then, it's an understandable and valid point, because you guys aren't giving disabled people stories where they are living and happy. So I completely understand that. And then we've said how it would be unrealistic if Will had decided to stay just because of Louisa, or because of like this idea that love can change your mind. Almost change your mind and your life. And care to elaborate on that, both on his choice to carry on despite being in love, and also this thing of movies when they do tell stories about disabled people
with disabilities, they paint them in a sad light.
It's such a sad, odd light.
Like, I know there are people living with disabilities that might resonate with what Will is feeling, but I mean a majority of disabled people are like living. Okay, they don't let their disabilities get in the way. So my thing is, William didn't want to live. Like he says it in the movie, he said he doesn't want to live if he's not experiencing life the way he used to experience it. So that's why he went with the assisted suicide thing. But with that being said, like they're painting people living with disabilities in a they make them seem like they are living these sad lives and oh my god.
as they're as pessimistic and as morbid as
well. And I mean, that's just one person's story, and it's like a fiction. Like, I know we always talk about representation, and that's why I feel like the disabled community had a problem with this, because you hardly ever get a person living with a disability as the main character, and they have like a happy story, and then it goes.
Like, I'm sure it'd be not better, but I'm sure it'd be better if this wasn't the only story that they got.
Do you know what? Another thing is that my one complaint was about the disabled community in general. But they always, in movies, they always painted as people that need saving.
Yeah.
Like, this movie could have done without Louisa Clark trying to save William. She could have
worked there, but
yes, like a friendship thing. Oh, they had to put romance into it, and I'm like, oh my gosh. At the same time, we wouldn't be here discussing it if it wasn't a romance movie. But at the same time, I'm like,
I mean, I would much rather be talking about a romantic movie that's with a positive note, and it also just happens to have a disabled person as the lead.
Yeah, like Ngogo, not all disabled people want Clark Kent's Mituna. They don't. Like, this is for now future of like aspiring filmmakers. Yes, guys. Like,
it would help if you also had disabled people in the room creating the thing, because now
and cast actual disabled people.
I say this in the part 1 where I'm talking about the making of this movie. When I was watching it, and I was thinking, they didn't actually need to cast Sam Clifton. They really could have gotten someone in a wheelchair, because I'm thinking of the moment where we see him not in the wheelchair of 2 scenes, and they're like together, 2 minutes long. That could have done without those scenes, 1, and 2, anyone could have then therefore acted that part of Will, if that's the case.
They dwelled a lot. They dwelled a lot on William's sadness as a result of the accident. I'm so sure, guys, that disabled people don't live their disability. Like, the fact that Jojo Moyes wrote the story and made William like into a sizelegayo. I don't know what the
sympathetic?
No, not sympathetic. Like, someone you pity. Yes.
Oh yes, pitiful.
Yes, she could have done without writing William as this pitiful person. Like, she could have just written about him being having those moments. Obviously, you can't. He was never going to be the same after the accident. I mean, that's for sure. He was never going to be the same. But like, the levels of pity. Oh my gosh. Oh my. And that's one thing disabled people are always speaking about, that they don't want people's
to
pity.
Yeah,
they
I think even in the movie, Will doesn't like it when people help him, because he feels like they pity him more than they're actually trying to help him.
Meanwhile,
the entire
whole
story
is just pitiful.
It's the irony.
Okay, just to summarize what I've said. Yes, the disabled community is valid in their criticisms. They could have cast a disabled person. Yeah, I always hear people saying, why don't they cast... The reason they don't cast like trans people, for example, to play trans roles is that people can act. And I'm like, ugh.
Oh my goodness, the Scarlett Johansson stance irritates me so much. The actors are meant to do this
to embody the role, and I'm like, oh, but you guys are sort of like,
you're taking away from people that exist. These people exist. We're not asking you to play like an alien. Fine, anyone can play an alien. Yeah, but even then,
with casting a person living with a disability for the role of Will, I feel like they probably didn't want to do it because it would like it would seem like story salute, like that's their story. And I think that's why people shy away from casting people with
the given disability.
Yes, and like they don't want to cast actual trans people as trans people because it's gonna feel like that person is the role they are playing, which is stupid.
So silly
because no one, I mean, okay, South Africa we're different because people walk around thinking Karabo is Karabo in real life. But I mean,
it's a suspension of disbelief.
You need people, marginalized groups need to see themselves represented and not by actors, because they definitely not looking at Sam Claflin and being like, yeah, I definitely,
I feel that, man.
That's me. When the movie was done, Sam Claflin would go back to being an able-bodied person. He doesn't, so why?
And he has nothing to lose from like representing us badly. Like he will get his check end of the day, go to bed, sleep on his beautiful head. I'm sorry.
Whereas someone living with a disability would have brought more justice to the role, maybe, and like and most actors have this thing where they also are given like a free will with the role. A person living with a disability could have brought something else to role, like that whole morbidity thing. I get it.
It's really overdone.
So the disabled community is valid in their criticisms. They could have cast a disabled person in the role, but at the same time, I kind of get why they didn't, because it could have seemed like that's their specific person's story. And oh, guys, shame. That man, he went through it. Okay.
But I'm glad love was not the answer.
I'm so, like, that's what I'm happy about. The fact that he stood firm in his stance and he was like, yeah, I'm not living like this. Sorry, I'm not living like this. You didn't even ask me about the best part.
What's the best part if not the bumblebee socks thing?
Oh, it's not the best part. I mean, it's basically the story. Like, I feel like you and I are discussing Will, whereas Louisa Clark is the main character. Like, the story was based around her. It's not Will's story, it's Louisa's story. And I think she needed to meet someone like Will, who had such a negative outlook on life, so she can be brought down to reality. Because Louisa
was a bit too
she lived
optimist.
In her head.
Yeah.
Most of the time she lived in her head. And the thing, and I kept, like, after the movie, like, the one thing that stuck with me, and Ukwandi hates it when I speak about this, is that Louisa was always putting other people first. And she needed someone like Will who would put her first. So she realizes that she keeps on putting people first, and people don't respect you if you don't respect yourself, because she had like little to no respect for herself.
Just anything goes, bro.
Louisa, guys, she stresses me out so much. But yeah, basically
that's the best part.
The lesson.
Okay, man, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being with us.
It's been a pleasure. I would love to come back here again.
Oh my gosh. Can you? I'm trying to think of anything else.
Romantic comedies are my thing, dog.
I mean, yeah, they are. They're my thing as well. But like, I'm trying to think. You will definitely come back. There's no doubts about it.
You please don't bring me back to another sad story, like if I stay, because I really hate it.
If I stay, it's not sad, because she shouldn't have let love decide.
It goes back to people thinking love will save them.
Man, at least stay for your grandparents. Indoda.
She was like, yeah, I believe in Indoda. She was like, bye mom, bye dad, bye little bro. Hi, Indoda.
Likes and dislikes time. You would think that after all the things we said in part 2 that I wouldn't find anything that I enjoyed, but there actually are things that I enjoyed, like more on the technical, more on the movie making side of things. And firstly, what I liked, more like what I loved, if you haven't guessed by now, I really loved the music. When I soundtrack, I really loved the music. I have to repeat myself every time because it really is one of the best parts of this thing. That is a solid soundtrack. Like, it's very rare for me to like every single music choice in a movie. Sometimes with rom-coms, they have the opportunity to like use a wide range of songs because a lot of like songs can like fit into what's happening. And I think this movie, they did that. They gave us range, they gave us great choices within that range. It's a bit flawless for me. I really liked the wardrobe choices for Louisa. Like when I say like them, her outfits are like something out of early, that era, Pinterest BBM era in the early 2010s, where it was just contrasts and bright colors and looking cute and all that stuff. Really irritating on paper, but for Louisa, I like it a lot for her. I think that if her personality wasn't the way that it's presented to us, the outfits would kind of look costumey or kind of make her look way younger than she actually is, which would take away from who she is. But for her, I think they added to her character. She didn't feel like she was drowning in the clothes, because it's like this very bright and enthusiastic woman. Obviously, she's gonna be in them bright, enthusiastic clothes. I say enthusiastic. Yes, the clothes were quite enthusiastic. And also some of them, like, aside from being costumey, a lot of them were like proper looks. Like, some of the things, like as pieces or as a whole outfit, they're very good looks. That part with the red dress she wears when they go to the opera, that was a moment. That was like oh damn, okay, so she can like bring it together and give us a solid kind of grown up look. And I really liked that. Shout out to whoever was handling the costume design. I probably should have checked, but you know me. Yeah. I also liked the scenery. The scenery. England, despite the shots we see in dramas and other kind of shows based in the UK, England is a pretty place. And yeah, sometimes that beauty is lost because these dramas and these kind of dark films will have to match the aesthetic of the whole thing. So you'll see movies that are set in England will be very grey or very like matte, and just sad and droopy. And there's also like you have to consider the weather thing, because it's constantly raining. It's kind of hard for some place to look very like pretty is the only word I can think of right now. But I understand in the context of those movies and their choices. I understand why they do it. But I'm also glad that for this they decided, now that's not the direction we're gonna go. Sometimes you would like to see something different, and this was different and also quite refreshing. It was England. It was in England that was bright and green and just like lush, and the views from the castle, I think they're in the castle somewhere. The views even from where Louisa lives, it is just pretty, and I appreciate that. At least I think it was England. Sometimes people don't film in the location that the story is set because money and all those other things. But either way, I really liked it. Dislikes. Almost all of my dislikes can just be taken back to the fact that they could have cast someone else besides Sam. Like, at the root of most of my dislikes, I think it goes back to that. one dislike that's different. We touched on it a bit during the discussion, but I feel like they spent very little time on Louisa's character development. Like, yes, she's optimistic, yes, she's helpful, yes, she's this cheery, lovely lady, yeah. Like, but aside from all of that, I feel like we didn't learn a lot about her. Even when we have those moments with her family, which are like perfect opportunity for you to reveal more about her or to give us more insight into her, they didn't take that chance. They just spent most of it focusing on this very odd love story, and I think they could have done better. I think they could have given us more. Maybe it goes back to the fact that this would have been a better story if they didn't have to fall in love. Like, yo guys, friendship is fine. Like, someone talk to the people upstairs that handle these stories and things. Friendship as a motivating force can be just as powerful as love. Like, because when love gets into the mix sometimes, as you can see here, it's not always the best. Like, just believe that you can be friends with someone and grow. I promise you, it happens. Maybe not to me, I'm joking. But I promise it happens. Let's just stick to that. We've reached the end of the show. I need to stop saying things. Oh my goodness, I'm actually gonna start pinching myself every time I say something. But yes, we've reached the end, and that can only mean two things. One, I have to bid you all farewell until the next episode, since I am at home and I don't know how to describe this. I live in a place where data and network is very shifty. It's quite unstable. Thanks Vodacom for that. So yeah, follow us on Twitter for updates on when the next episode will drop. Yes, there will be more episodes. Yes, I'm actually going to do season 3 properly, and there's so much in store for you guys. So I'm gonna do this right, and I'm gonna do this wholeheartedly. I've lost my train of thought. Oh yes, secondly, it's time for Who's Your Fave? Oh my goodness. Yeah, this week's battle is the adapted from a book edition. I think this is technically part 2, because the first time we did this, it was Twilight versus Hunger Games, but that was a love triangle edition. Okay, so this is the first adapted from a book edition. Yes, we have 2 varying books in this round. In this corner, from Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, it's Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy. In the opposite corner, from E.L. James's 50 Shades of Grey, we have Anastasia and Christian Grey. Very, very different books. But if you look at it carefully, they kind of have very similar leading men, if you think about it. I, for one, have never seen nor read the 50 Shades movies books. And I only recently saw Joe Wright's Pride and Prejudice. So I'm a bit torn. I'm torn because, not because I think I favor one over the other. I'm torn because even though I've seen the one, the love interest from the one is... Guys, are you sure that movie is romantic? But I will not let my biases cloud my judgment. You have the decision in your hands. You have to decide for us who is the better couple here. Speaking of Who's Your Fave, we currently have the Ultimate Faves tournament running. If you follow us on Twitter, you've seen that I've put up the polls. I have been surveying the voting, And it's a tight match, guys. It's a tight race, but there always has to be a winner. So do not forget to vote on the Twitter polls for your fave. You have until this Thursday to vote for your fighters to go through to round 2, which will be announced this Friday. Again, my special thanks to our special in-studio guest, my sister, for joining me. Thanks a lot to her. Thanks to you guys for sticking around. Stay tuned for the rest of season 3. We have surprises, we have guests, we have collaborations, we have all these wonderful things that are happening to me that are actually making me want to invest in a mic. That might be the next big purchase of 2021. For now, until we meet again, thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe on your relevance platforms.